Welcome to the Business Advice Podcast, where we discuss marketing, money, and other matters with businessmen around Australia.
So I've been teaching David all about Kava. He's got a basic idea. He's about to learn everything.
Love it.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I've already been surprised. Adam has been telling me a little bit about his own experiences with it, and I'm shocked. Like, as a psychologist, I'm like, how is this not a thing in Sydney yet, at least? And so
Yes.
I'm so keen to hear more. All right, let's jump into it then.
Fantastic.
All right, so thank you so much for joining us, John. I mean, you're a legend in your own right. You're a titan in the industry. Actually, scratch that, make that multiple industries. And I think today is the beautiful episode where we get to really delve into a few of those industries, focusing on obviously the main one, which I'm learning about. And as a psychologist, is so important for me to learn more about this. It's the Kava industry. And so, yeah, welcome, John.
Thank you. Well, it's my pleasure. Thanks, guys.
So,
should I say boom?
Yeah. And so let me do a little introduction for you, John. Adam gave me a list, and it is the longest list I've ever read for someone. And I love that I have to introduce it. And please let me know if I'm missing anything. I'm sure I might, but I'll try my best. So John owns and runs Kava Warehouse, which is a large Kava trading, farming, processing, and exporting operation based in, is it Suva? Is that how you pronounce it?
Correct.
Okay, Suva Fiji. And so, cradle to grave, you do everything. It's one
Yes.
whole thing. So love that. And as an innovator, so not only a creator, not only a manufacturer, but innovator in the Kava industry, John is sometimes referred to as the Steve Jobs of Kava. And so I'm so privileged that we get to have the Steve Jobs of Kava here. And not only that, as if that wasn't enough, John represented Fiji in the rugby union, and the pinnacle of his career was playing in the first ever Rugby World Cup tournament in 1987, which was held in both Australia and New Zealand. Is that right?
That's correct. That was a long time ago. Man.
Good memories. I'm sure you can still outrun me. Like 100% you can outrun Adam. And so currently, right, John runs MTSL, a funds and investment management company operating in the South Pacific, so mainly Fiji and PNG. And then going back a bit in history, John graduated with a Bachelor of Commerce in Banking and Finance from the University of Canberra, great place, whilst playing club rugby.
That's correct, yes.
Now, I stutter because I know nothing about rugby, so I am looking to get educated on that as well. And so I'm a complete novice in everything we're going to be talking about today. Fantastic. I love that. And so beyond all that, John is involved with a multiple other projects around Fiji and Pacific Islands, which might come up. And if not, feel free to Google him. And that includes a historical resource journaling the evolution of Kava from its traditional setting in the islands and its development around the world. And right now it's finding expression in the Kava bars and Kava drinks produced by Kava Warehouse. Is that right? All right. So That is just an introduction. I don't know about you, listener, but I am very excited to jump into it. So let's just start with the man before we get to the myth. Who is John? Where were you born, John?
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm just worried that the man might be a myth as well. So, you know, good. Good. So, yeah, I was born in Suva, Fiji. Raised here. My grandparents came out of Australia. So,
Okay.
my on my paternal side came to work for the colonial sugar refining
Right.
company when they set up and took over the sugarcane industry in Fiji.
Right.
And so on the maternal side, and so yeah, we're kind of they married local girls, and you know, we're stranded Australians here, you know, well,
Stranded.
formerly Australians, but living in Fiji,
Yeah,
still
yeah.
stuck in Fiji, and
So stuck in paradise, basically. And then
yeah,
after that,
yeah. Yeah, so you know, I have a home in Brisbane, and you know, I live there like half. But yeah, so I grew up in the Fijian culture, and you know, at a young age, as a young man, as you grew up into your sort of early teens, you were then expected to be, you know, to start mixing the kava for the older men in the village,
right,
and
right,
and go out and do all the things that young men do as part of our initiation or as part of the rites passage.
wow,
So yeah, and then at the time I used to sort of bemoan and groan every time I was asked to do it, because you know I'd have to sit down, spend hours serving and tending to the kava bowl or to the tanoa, and but you know, as I did it, the more frequent I did it, and now looking back, it was a blessing, because I got to hear the tales and the stories and
right,
the you know, the legends, and also the all the history around certain
wow,
things,
right,
and
right,
more so about, and then I came to realize and the value of kava, and that moment as the ceremony, and serving that moment where there's an exchange of information, there's an exchange of knowledge going on, you know,
right,
the
right.
handing down of knowledge.
It's like
Of the
intergenerational connection, right?
Yeah, so it happens around the cowboy, and you know, everybody talks
Wow,
about their side, and then you know, a lot of other nuanced things come through, and then you pick it all out. As a
right,
young man,
right.
my
You're
just
absorbing
absorbing
it
all of
all,
that stuff.
right?
Yeah, and but so yeah, and then every now and then I'd be sent to the shop to go and buy it, and you know, buy a cow and come and serve it. So that whole thing started to, you know, form up in my mind, to start to think, actually, you know, there's a business.
Oh, okay. Wait, at what age around did you consider that?
So
That's
yeah,
like a
that would have
no-brainer.
been about 15, 16. I started to think seriously about it.
No way. Okay. So you're early
Yeah.
entrepreneur. You
So,
got that brain.
yeah, yeah. So as you know, when I got into my years, finally year 12 at school, 17,
Yeah.
sort of 18, I had already had my kava farm.
Oh, well, you already had a
Yeah,
Kava
I
farm
had
at that
started
point.
my kava farm. Yeah, and
Wow.
by the time I was 20, I had a pretty big kava farm.
Okay. Was that all from
Yeah.
scratch? You started all of that from scratch yourself. Wow.
Basically, yeah. But you know, so I would ask for the branches
Yeah.
and the seedlings from my uncles and my cousins. Then they
Right.
would, you know, give me here and there. We can also, I would then engage with
Right.
my cousins, and on would go and start it all up. And then I started
Wow.
work out of school, and
Yeah.
part of my salary I started in, you know, paying for labor to expand the farm. So I had
Started hiring employees.
quite a large farm.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So you have a bit of a green
Yeah.
thumb as well, I'm guessing.
Well, let me put it this way: I had a green thumb. Yes,
Okay.
I've
Right.
kind of now I just delegate all of
Oh
that.
yeah. I mean, now you get to enjoy the fruits
And
of your
yeah,
green
so
thumb.
then Yeah, so the whole notion about that and then harvesting and then selling it, but also starting to look for markets offshore, that all
Right.
came from there and exported.
Wow.
At that time, this was the early to mid 80s, so the
Yeah.
Kava market wasn't as the Fiji domestic market was still the largest market,
Right.
and so there was a small outlet going to export to Australia and New Zealand,
Yeah.
but that also grew over time, and then in the 90s came on, and then the European um, Kava boom happened because the
Oh,
big
okay.
European pharmaceutical companies started importing Kava and doing extracts and then making
Right.
sleeping aids,
Right.
antidepressants,
Wow.
relief tablets from Kava. And it was quite a big lucrative industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much so that one report I read, it was about 30% of that segment of the market in Europe contained products that had Kava. So
Oh,
it was quite a
30%.
big
Wow,
uh,
that's massive.
at the time.
Is it
Yeah,
was it all mostly from
and
Fiji?
no, a lot was from Fiji, but also from Vanuatu, some from Tonga.
Okay,
So it
right.
was for the Pacific. Yeah, because it grows
Yeah.
mainly only in the Pacific at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Mainly.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of fed into that. It was just a natural progression that as I grew older, and then as I went to work in the bank, my first job was was the Bank of New South Wales and the old Australian bank. So
Wow.
I
Okay.
started to pick up a lot on the commercial side of things.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it all helped to build me into yeah. So
Okay.
that's the kind of background to it all.
Yeah. That's a bit of a jump. And so I want to actually jump back a bit into your childhood aspirations. Because like
Yeah, sure.
you say it as if like, oh, natural progression, you're a businessman, and then you go into that. But for a lot of us, it's like, well, what did you start off with? Like, what did you dream about as a kid? Did you expect like, okay, I will grow Kava, I will be a banker, or was it all a surprise to you?
Uh, yeah, well, that's a good question because it wasn't specifically thinking in those terms.
Yeah.
I come from a very humble background as well because
Mm.
my mom passed away when I was 3 years old, so it was quite a
Right.
life of and then
Yeah.
to live with relatives and all.
Wow.
So, but I knew in my heart of hearts I wanted a better life.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
What
Better
better
life.
life was, what better life that was at that time, I did not really could not see it then.
Right.
But all I knew is I was going to get out of here and into something better.
Okay. So you knew you actually knew you had to get out of that context.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, definitely.
Right. Right.
It was something that was internal. It just came out, and I knew I got it. I know I'm going to get out of this. I just going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, do you always think about business and entrepreneurship, or did you also like kind of just take that on organically?
No, I think at a very early age, I felt that entrepreneurship was going to be the pathway out to where the kind of life I had envisaged for myself at the time.
Right. Okay. So you had actually
Yeah.
some
But
envisioning of,
having little,
yeah.
yeah, it was clear in my mind that at a very young age that I'm going to get out of this.
Mm.
It was quite a tough life. My mom passed
Yeah.
away when I was 3 years old, and
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
dad had to leave to go and work overseas, and it was tough.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And so you
And
saw how business is your way out, or like entrepreneurship.
well, I kind of, yeah, because
Mm.
you had to go to the shop to buy groceries, and you'd see that the shopkeepers have their vehicles and they got a good life. So you think, yeah, this guy's a
Right.
businessman, so
Right.
I gotta. This
Okay.
is the way to go.
Yeah. 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 It's those images that stick with you as a child, right? It's like, oh,
Definitely,
that's a model of success. That's where I want to be. Right?
yeah, that's interesting. Now that's something that that fits with what I'm thinking. So that could be something I want to do.
Okay. Gotcha.
Or is
Gotcha.
that may be the pathway that I want to follow.
Yeah. Funny thing is, your pathway went way further than a shop owner, and way further than just
Yeah,
one car.
yeah, but that being a shop owner and being all of that was part of the pathway. It became, those were the staging posts. Yes.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay. So the next stage for you back then was studying business, right? Which university did you go to?
Yeah. So when I left school, being a young man and playing rugby too much, I didn't matriculate from grade 12. I failed actually.
Okay. Wow.
Because I was such a good rugby player. I went to a Catholic school at the end, and
Right.
one of the brothers hooked me up to work at the bank because I was a good rugby player for the school. So that's how I worked at New South Wales.
Right. Okay. So actually, your another talent of yours got you into this field.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I was born. I was I was born reasonably tall and quite old, and I was a reasonably good rugby player and a good
Right.
basketball player too. I was
Yeah.
quite talented, and I used that reasonably well, very well. And the brothers were very impressed, and he turned up to me at the last game of the year and said, "John, I need to see you on Monday in my office." And I said, "Oh no, I'm in trouble."
That's always what they say, isn't it?
Yeah.
See,
And then I walk in
office.
and sit down on Monday. Then he says, "All right, I take this form away, go home, fill it all up, write it this way, do this, blah blah blah, write a letter and bring it back to me."
Wow, that was it.
Then then a week or two later, he said, "All right, you got to go for your interview and you got to turn up at this time at this place." And so that was it. I was just following his orders.
Bummer. Twist my arm, I got a job.
But
Okay.
it was great. I mean,
Yeah.
it was working for the bank. It was the perfect, perfect incubator for me to learn and about inside.
What did you pick up there in that first job?
Well, yeah, it's just the whole notion of how to manage money and how money is managed, the
That's
accounting
huge.
side of it. What's a debit, what's a credit,
Yeah.
and all of that. And then a few years later, they moved me to the foreign exchange department,
Okay.
and that's where I really opened my because I had to then do global, because then we had to send out remittances and
Wow. Gotcha.
and
So
then
it blew up your horizons, right? It's not
yeah,
just this place anymore.
that's right.
Okay. Did that later inform your own businesses? Like how you think about like global enterprise as opposed to like a local scale business?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. And so look, I'm so tempted to go down either path. At the same
Yeah, I
time,
know.
you're doing the banking thing. You're still playing sports at that time, right?
Yeah, I was a young man. Yeah.
Yeah. And so how did you balance those two? I mean, you could have made a full-time career out of either.
Well, yeah, but at the time, rugby union was still an amateur sport.
Okay, gotcha.
We were not paid. It was not a professional sport.
Okay. Yeah.
So we had to keep a job.
Right. Wow. So it sounds tiring. Like what were your days and nights like?
Well, yeah, long days basically. After work, I could go do my training, go to my club training, and go to the gym. And I get home at about 9 o'clock at night, have a shower, and I'm on. And then early in the morning, I'm up jogging on the road, trying to keep fit, trying to get into the national team.
Yeah.
And then go to work.
Wow. That sounds like a Rambo montage right there.
Yeah.
It's like jogging on the road and then like going to work, but then sleeping exhausted.
Yes.
Okay. How long did you do that? Like how long were you at that first job?
I spent about 10 years there.
Oh wow, 10 years. Okay. And then after that,
and then I rose up with. Yeah, so whilst I was working, whatever my earnings, I was also investing into my farm, Kava farm, and trying to push that as well and getting sales. And the local market was good enough to just sell it to the local market and generate cash flow and then sell it
Okay.
again, and then reinvest back in.
Oh man, legend. So you were
Yeah.
literally juggling because you had three things by then. You had rugby, you had your job, your day job, and you had your kava farm.
That's right.
Okay, okay. So makes me wonder how many hours you had in a day. Because you literally just said that you went from your day job to training, and that's already 9 p.m. So what,
Yeah.
your weekends were all kava farm?
No. Well, the good thing is that I was earning my salary, so I could pay for my cousins from the village to go and look after the tend to it, and
Okay,
and continue the farming, and then I was able to buy more seed material.
perfect. Yeah, yeah.
And yes, so that kind of had its own growth curve. Yeah.
Right, right. I love that because I've worked with a few startups and scale ups at different levels, and so many of them find it difficult to navigate that change because it's a shift in this company structure and in a lot of the scaling up of the infrastructure. For yourself, did it just come naturally? Like you just knew when to scale everything up, when to hire new hands, when to buy more, product or
Yeah. Well, the beauty part of the beauty part about it is that those farms were in the rural areas, so you had access to a lot of spare capacity labor that was in the
okay,
village.
right, right.
So it was just a matter of, and because they were my cousins and my nephews, I just send the message down. Okay, you guys go
Yeah,
and do this thing, this, and this is how much I'll pay you. So they will go
right.
and do it, and then
Yeah.
I'll come down after a week or two, and then I'll go and do the inspection.
Hmm.
And then, or when there's a long weekend, then I'll go down and spend a few days there.
Right, right. Okay, okay. That's awesome. Okay, so did you have any other things you were juggling at that time, like maybe investment side?
No, the
Okay,
investment side, no, I wasn't earning enough at the time to
okay,
even things so my only investment was in my Kava business
okay.
at the time.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then,
okay.
I'm learning on the job. So I made a lot of blunders too.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, what was, just for curiosity's sake, what was one of the big ones?
Well, I think the biggest one I did was in my first harvest.
First harvest.
You
Okay,
know,
okay. How old were
yeah,
you?
my
I'm just
first.
asking.
uh, Oh, I think I was, because Kava takes a few years to be in the
Oh,
ground to
really?
mature. Then you can. So I
Okay,
think I
okay.
was around about 21, 22.
Okay, still
Yeah.
very young.
And I
Okay.
kind of had these big plans. I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
going to sell all this and get this much money and this and all that. And then
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I walked, and then I went to do the market, and they played me, man.
Oh,
The Kava traders, how they play the pricing. There's
right.
look at this thing, it's a bit bruised, yeah, not good. So they try to be nitpick on all the
Mm,
negatives to push the
yeah.
price down.
Yeah.
So that was kind of burst my bubble, but it also was a learning point for me.
Yeah.
So, these guys, now I see this is how they do it.
Right. And next time you come back. So how do you deal with them the second time around?
Well, the second time, yeah, you just have to be a bit smarter. You make it more presentable
Yeah.
and spin up the story.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you
Right.
learn like
And also by then,
yeah.
yeah, sorry, by then, the lesson I learned was that I got to come and develop my relationship with these few of
Mm,
these guys. So I used to, after work, I'd come and say hello. During my lunch period, I'd go and sit,
okay.
say hello to them, and buy some of their kava, and we mix it and drink, and you get to know him better.
Right.
So
Okay. Okay. So
so
you
the next
develop
time,
business relations.
exactly.
Okay.
That
Beautiful.
was the investment in itself, intangibles.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So all this mention of Kava, I'm sure myself, I'm so keen to learn more about it. And the listeners are like, what are they even talking about? Maybe. So
Mhm.
what is Kava really? Like if I was 5 years old, how would you describe it to me?
Well, kava is is the powder that is made from the root of the kava plant,
Okay.
and which is then mixed in water and chugged
Okay.
to yeah.
So that's the only amount of processing that's required. Just
that's right.
grind it into powder.
Yeah, you grow the kava plant. In this, kava is a Tongan word for it. We call in Fiji, we call it yangona. Yangona. So it's a bit more.
Okay.
It's a bit more difficult to pronounce yangona. So we'll stick with kava.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Do they mean the same things? Like
Yeah,
kava
just the
meaning
same
or...
plant, except the Tongans call it kava, and we in Fiji call it
Okay.
yangona. Because kava is so much easier to translate, everybody uses it.
Yeah. Okay. Does it matter which part of the root, or is it just the whole root is usable?
No, the whole root, and also the basal stems where the root comes out of. So those are the key parts. So but the actual root itself is where the potency is.
Right. Okay.
Active compounds in kava are called kavalectons. That's where they are stored.
Okay. Awesome. And you mentioned it takes a few years to mature or to harvest.
Well, yeah, a minimum of 3 years.
Wow. Okay.
And so it requires a bit of work and a bit of attention.
Yeah. Okay. So, are there? I've heard of the mention of like Piper methysticum. What's
its scientific name? Piper methysticum.
Oh, that's a scientific name for the plant itself. Okay.
It's part of the pepper family.
Oh, it's a pepper. All right.
Yeah. It's part of the pepper family. Yeah, it has the peppery taste.
Oh, it actually, okay. Now, I'm very curious. I've never tasted it, but I've heard Adam loves it.
Hypergenic.
Okay, so
I think that sorry, carry
on. So what are some of the health benefits of kava?
Oh, well, Adam may have some of his views, but it's known and to help you with a good sleep.
Okay.
And also it's a good muscle relaxant. It helps with anxiety, stress, definitely.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, if you're in high stress, a few shells of kava will chill you right down.
Really? Okay. So it's very quick acting as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's quick in a kava kind of way, if you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
If you take a glass of whiskey and shoot it down, that's a boom, it comes to you.
Right.
Kava, it comes to you in a soft way and it pulls down.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Because it's organic, because it's just a plant.
Maybe Adam can explain it better.
Yeah, maybe something like red wine. But look, it has some similarities to alcohol and maybe even marijuana, but it's much more gentle, much more subtle. So it's in a different category, but yes, it does have some similarities. Red wine, like I feel like emotionally when I'm drinking a glass of red, like in kava, like that calming feeling while drinking it, that would be something similar. But the flavor, it is a very intense, pungent flavor. Like, so it's not, it's not delicious. Like,
right. I mean, it's a root, right?
Yeah. So something like coffee or whiskey, like they're not nice tastes.
True.
They're things that you acquire, and exactly. And so initially, I was drinking mine with smoothies, and John and his family said I was a pussy and I couldn't handle it like a Fijian, and I had to man up. And so I took the challenge. Now I love it. I absolutely like it was pushing through that, and so it is definitely something that's acquired, and you but they drink it from childhood, so it's safe for children to drink.
Yeah.
Um,
That's so good.
so
Like,
it's
there's not many things like this that, you know, coffee, even coffee, we don't want kids to be drinking them.
yeah.
But like kava is like, it's cultural, right? It's so it's so safe for everyone. And I think that brings me to the interesting part. Coming back to in the beginning, you mentioned how you grew up and it's a rite of passage, right? Kava is so enmeshed in your culture and the spiritual roots. How does it look like spiritually and culturally? What's the role that it plays?
Yeah, well, culturally, it's the you know, elixir of the gods, so to speak. You know, I mean,
Okay.
in a cultural way. Now,
Yeah.
you know, if the religious people hear this, they'll think I'm Lucifer's, you know, disciple when I'm saying it's you know, so. But in the olden days, that was what it was. It was a medium from which could then you know, carry out the ancient ways of spiritualism, which is ancestor worship.
Yeah.
So yeah, but then there was also the customary side where kava is used for greetings and for ceremonies,
Okay.
peace ceremonies. You know, if I've committed something and I've breached your trust, or I've hurt you and injured you in any way,
yeah,
and if I feel repent, then I bring a kava to you and I'll present it to you and seek your forgiveness.
right.
And we'll brew it up, and then as a sign of our acceptance, we will drink drink that kava.
Okay.
And
So it's
then
like
everything's forgiven.
It's like sharing a meal, kind of like that is a peace ceremony.
Yeah, like breaking bread,
Yeah,
sort
like
of thing.
breaking bread. Yeah,
You know, a peace pipe or something.
yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. So this
Yeah, so that
lot of
also, you know, yeah,
okay.
yeah, there's different nuances. You know, if there's a funeral, somebody has passed away in the family, then you know we all gather, and then the kava is served, and you know, so it's part of the mourning and the grieving, and you know,
Okay. Yeah,
we also, if you know there's a wedding, so that's the fun side. We'll do all the kava ceremonies around that, and then
right.
the kava is drinking. So it's part and parcel of the culture.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's basically it's tied into every aspect of life almost.
Yeah, mostly. And
Wow.
nowadays, or as you know, new immigrants had moved into Fiji, um, they they've adopted the kava as also as part of their cultural thing, and they've kind of modified it to suit their cultural,
Right.
you know, to fit their cultural space,
Yeah.
and that's how it kind of has morphed along.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. And I also heard like Adam mentioned to me that there were druas trading kava between the islands for like thousands of years. Am I pronouncing that right? I don't even know what that is.
Yes. Well, the drua is the double hull canoe. It's a big,
Oh, okay.
massive canoes
Yeah.
that used to traverse the oceans,
Right.
and all the, you know, with the ancient Fijians and Polynesians used to trade and travel, you know, between the islands. So
Okay. Yeah.
and all that was traded to kava and many other things that was taken as part of the trade, as the barter trade.
Right. Okay. So it's not only tied in with the culture, but historically, it's played a role ever since the dawn of history in the Fijian culture.
Correct.
Okay, that's beautiful. Okay, so now it's in the modern age. You mentioned like medicinal uses and like going global a bit. Are there any concerns with kava at the moment?
Um, Well, there was a reason why kava was banned in the 90s when the German authorities um, banned it because of some liver hepatotoxicity issues.
Okay,
Um,
right.
uh, and that kind of sent the world into a spin, and they kind of banned Kava, including Australia. That was in 2001. And then I was part of the team that that then got together and collated all the data and all the information, all the science, engaged doctors and scientists.
Oh wow, okay.
And then we took our case up into the German court to challenge that decision.
Wow.
With the eventual thing being that we won that case, and that the German court did agree with us that the science used to ban Kava was very flimsy.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Good on you guys. That's using science to fight science. I mean, that's,
Yeah,
the truth is out. Okay.
We threw it all back at them, yeah. So then Kava had to live with all of that kind of the liver questions since then.
Yeah.
And the good thing, when Germany and other countries banned it, USA didn't ban it. They just put out an advisory.
Okay, right.
So that allowed USA to continue to use Kava, and then as the Kava bar. Then a couple of guys decided to set up the first Kava bar in the year 2000, and when the German ban came on in 2001, the Americans realized that there was something with Kava, so started the whole train and curiosity. So the Kava bar started to get a bit more attention for what it was, the things that were said about it. It caught the attention of some Americans.
Yeah, I guess there's no
and
such thing as
then
bad
Kava has taken off its own journey. Yeah. So bad publicity turned out to be the best thing for it.
Yeah.
In a perverse way, even though on one side the Europeans banned it.
Yeah.
So the Americans then took it on, and then they put a lot of their own science and a lot of stuff, and then that debunked a lot of all these things about the liver issues. And so as long as it's prepared in its traditional way, and even the WHO came out with its declaration that Kava prepared in its traditional way and consumed poses no major risk or threats to any to health.
Right, so that's an official statement.
That is an official statement.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Because if it were true, if it were true that it caused liver toxicity, then all us islanders would be dead by now.
Yeah, exactly. I was
because
wondering.
We've been drinking it for thousands of years.
Yeah, thousands of years.
Yeah, it seems there's only an issue when it's mixed with alcohol. Like that's not great. But and yeah, it's like Coca-Cola is more harmful. It's
right.
So literally a rum and Coke is far more dangerous for you than and I think, John, there was another issue with people drinking it with unclean water. So just having a lot of clear water.
Okay.
And but this is pretty common sense stuff. Like if you were to do that with tea or coffee and drink it, it would also cause issues. So it's
right. Yeah. I mean, like all other medicinal substances, you probably shouldn't take it with alcohol. I think that's
yeah.
Okay. So in the case of Kava, because we drink it in rural areas, so the potable water is not treated, so and it's not. So there's a worm that comes in and it burrows itself into the liver and causes the liver to swell.
Gotcha.
So Kava is to blame, but it's actually the unsanitary water that carries the.
Yeah. So did you have to do a bit of investigation work to figure that out?
Well, all of that then came out because the doctors started to put out all the information, and the market is a lot more educated now on all these things.
Yeah. I'd say consumers are a bit smarter these days. Yeah. Okay, I see Adam brought out some displays. That's awesome. All right, so that's actually from Kava Warehouse.
Yep. This is legit.
Oh, look at that.
And I don't think the camera will pick this up, but This is
we see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one is the traditional, but I mean, what John's famous for doing is the instant kava, which
Okay.
is particularly popular here in Australia. And it's literally, it's so finely ground that you can just put it into a cup, stir it, chug it.
Right. There's no like little like
Exactly.
Fibers.
fibers. Okay.
Whereas in the past, you had to put it into a sock or a strainer.
Oh, right, like tea kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a bit slower to do it that way. And I think, John, it's something like 55%. So even though you'll get, because you're drinking the whole root, you're drinking all of it, you get all the carbolactones.
Right.
With the traditional, like, with a cup of tea, you're throwing out some of, obviously you're not,
Oh, yeah. True.
Yeah. So you're just getting more of it. And
right. Okay.
More of it, from a commercial sense, you're getting more bang for your buck when you buy that,
That's why the Steve Jobs, John, because
so if you kind of brew it in a sock or in a stocking, you brew it to a point, but then you're still left about half of it is
that's wasted.
The residue you gotta check out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 years for that, especially, you're like, oh, it pains you to throw that out. So let's keep all the goodness in it.
And our Australian culture, like the Western culture, is fast. Like in the island, like it's really cool seeing them do it the way they do it. Like it is extremely slow. Like drink it over hours and hours and hours.
Oh, okay.
Like the Western Australian mindset is chuck it in a cup, mix it, chug it. Like, so it's a very different approach.
Yeah. Okay. So looks like, Adam, you have a ready stock. What has been your experience with Kava?
My story. Yeah. So I heard I visited Fiji when I was a kid, and that's when I first heard of it. And I was warned about the dangers of this this mysterious island thing. So I was, just sort of cautious about it, but for no reason. It was just, like that.
It's like hearsay.
No reason. Yeah. And then I was chatting to John, and I was just fascinated by it. I was really drawn to it. And in my work in the past, I worked with a lot of people with violent criminals with health issues. So I saw a lot of violence in my work, and I ended up with pretty bad PTSD. And so I get, just panic attacks and that sort of thing.
Right.
And so at the time, I was on an antidepressant and Valium just to kill that and to maintain that. And I wasn't taking the Kava. Like I was just like, oh, it'll be a nice substitute.
Right. Or a little supplement. Yeah.
I wasn't taking it as a medicine. I was like, oh, that's something just really interesting, and it's now legal in Australia. So why not, And then I found, I felt I said to John, it's not working. And John said, push through.
So bad.
Push through. Yeah. And it tastes bad. And then, so I had it with the smoothies, and I remember the day, I can remember it right now, sitting on my couch and it just kicking in and just the relaxing feeling. And I was going, oh, that's what they're talking about. And that was like maybe my 6th or 7th drink over a 2-week period. So when you start, you have to have a lot. So it's reverse tolerance. Like if you don't have coffee or alcohol for months, and then you have a short black or a nip of whiskey, you experience it more intensely. If you haven't had a lot of it, Kava's the opposite. So
Is it like because it requires some build up in your system to a certain point?
I believe that's the theory, John. Is it? Yeah. So Kava lactones have to have a certain.
Yeah, you got to build it up because they get stored in your fatty tissues, and you just build it up.
Okay.
And also it takes time for the kava signals for your body, particularly if you're not from that culture,
Right.
to get into that kava tune.
Oh, okay. So it develops that connection, those connections, or okay.
Well, almost a spiritual
That's right.
meditation sort of.
It's very spiritual.
Okay. Wow, that's intriguing. Okay, so it kicked in for you. How
Yep.
did your life change after that?
Well, yeah. So then I was just like, I could feel inside my brain biologically that something had shifted, and I didn't understand the science of it at that point. And then I was just like, I think I can go off my meds. And I tried to go off my meds because I just didn't want to be reliant on pharmaceutical medication for in perpetuity.
Like a lot of people.
Yeah. And I had tried to kick it, and it was not good. And anyway, so yeah, it was on the Kava, and then I don't know, it was about a month into it. I'm like, yeah, I can do this, and I just just stopped taking it, and I was drinking quite a lot of Kava at the time, but now I don't. I'm drinking it a few times a month. When I enjoy it, or if I've just a stressful day, or I want to have a good sleep. So in the moment, if I'm feeling that, I'll have like 2 or 3 billows, and it's the best night's sleep. Like you just sleep like you're a teenager again, sort of thing. And what's different, like compared to alcohol? Like alcohol, like if you're stressed, alcohol's fantastic, but not the next day. You get the hangover, and
alcohol actually reduces your sleep quality, so you actually fall asleep easier, but you sleep worse.
Yep. Kava's inverted, so
that's awesome.
So you can wake up, you can have less hours sleep and feel more rejuvenated.
Oh, no way.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. So that's John. That's why you can do so much in a day.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
That's right. And like a young man growing up, I had my mental sort of health issues, and thankfully I Kava helped to stabilize that. I wasn't really aware of it at the time, but in back, it has been a tremendous help to just keep the noise down in the head and keep the focus on. So and then it's been.
That's beautiful. It sounds like a game changer because look, I'm a psychologist. I truly believe in talk therapy. I believe in pharmaceuticals, but then like there's definitely these plants, these natural substances that do help. And like I feel like it's about us figuring out the best way forward to develop like a comprehensive or holistic way to help with mental health. And it's different for everyone as well. So I'd say like I'm very open to trying it, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners are. So the $1 million question would be, if we want to try it, and I'm speaking for myself too, where can I find it, and how do we find out more about this, like the information that we talked about?
Oh well, I mean, I don't. I might be accused of trying to push my own interest in.
That's what we're here for.
No. This is not sponsored.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we have an online shop, which is kavawarehouse.com.au. We had a physical shop, which was in Rothwell, but we've also got now a couple of shops that store our range, and we're trying to roll that out so that it covers a wider footprint in the Brisbane area. And so that's taking some time to get in, but it's working. So and then there's different varieties.
Well?
Yeah, it's online. Kavawarehouse.com.au.
We'll put the link.
And
perfect.
Yeah, and a phone call we can, if you're close by, we can deliver it to where you are.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. So we carry on.
John has the biggest selection of Kavas. Maybe there's some other competitors, but pretty much in Australia, John has the largest selection available of the best Kavas. It might be debatable, but like pretty much. And I'll say this, like the instant Kavas are particularly great. We'll put a link in the show notes so that there's got some blend. I don't actually have it. I'm out of it, but there's some instant ones that are particularly good if you're starting out. So I'll put them in the show notes. So if anyone's interested in just something simple to see if it works for them.
I'm definitely gonna try the instant one. Like I'm not a coffee drinker, but I feel like some days I need the kick, but I don't want the jitters. I don't want because it's liquid anxiety for me.
Yeah.
I think for most people, actually, it's just an accepted form of anxiety. So I would love to try that. Okay. So in one more question for you, John. I feel like we've only scraped tip of the iceberg in your industries. But what advice would you give to young men today who are trying to start like pursuing career in either business or sports or maybe both, like you did?
Yeah, well, I think as young men or young men and women come through and they have their dreams, their where they want to get to. And obviously a lot of challenges come up in between, and that kind of distracts them and maybe sort of detracts them from where they want to go. So, you just got to be persistent. You got to be patient, and you got to be able to just back yourself and work through these issues and keep going as you get there. But and there's always going to be challenges where you're going to be stressed out and anxious when some of these things don't work. So that's where you need a bit of support and a bit of help. But in the main, my main message is if you know what you want and you really want it, go for it, man. Back yourself. And, use your own inner talents to navigate the barriers that come up. Because then you're putting your own thumb, your own imprint on your journey. It's not something that you read out of the textbook. It's something that you've learned from within you've drawn out from your own talent pool.
Yeah. And you definitely back yourself ever since childhood, ever since reinvesting your profits into your own business. I think there's no better proof of backing your own journey and your thumbprint is on everything, right? So love that. Thank you so much, John.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was a great chat with you.
Thank you, guys.
I'm off to order like a year's supply of Kava, instant Kava. Thank you, Adam.
Cheers, guys.
All right.
Thanks, Adam. Bye now.
Thanks for listening to the Business Advice Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.